Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world. Today, we're talking to our special guests from California, who are sharing their insights and expertise so we can all grow together. If you're new to the podcast and just tuning in for the first time, welcome. We're happy to have you here. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, where we help businesses scale their revenue through outside of the box visibility strategies. And also, if you're new or if you've been here before and you haven't grabbed our gift, stay to the end. I'm going to tell you how to get that. But without delaying any longer, I want to introduce my special guest today, Raghu Bala with Synergetics. Welcome, Raghu, to the podcast.
Thank you, Heidi, for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for being a yes and joining us today. I'm excited to talk with you and share your company with our audience. So, Raghu, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and your role within it?
Sure. So I've been in the software industry for about 30 years, and this is my fifth startup. I've sold the last four, three to public companies, one to a private company a couple of years ago, and then started Synergetics in 2023. And this is in the AI space, a space that I know some amount because I've been working with AI for almost since the early 2000s, and so I thought the timing was right to launch this in 2023. And what we do is we do something called agentic AI, and I can get into more details on that later on. But that's our primary focus. We are based in Southern California,
Mhm.
and it's an exciting time to be in AI, helping businesses automate, and there's just marvelous, wonderful things that AI can do for any small company out there. So excited to be part of this podcast today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your background with us. So, Synergetics, doing a little research, Synergetics is focused on revolutionizing enterprise learning through AI. So, can you share with us how you're reimagining traditional corporate training?
So actually, we work with a lot of enterprises in different domains,
Okay.
and so both financial services, retail, healthcare, and so on.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we actually automate their processes, and that's our main core. So what happens is the way we look at things is the future of work will evolve, where companies are starting to deploy not only human capital but also what we call digital human capital. So the digital human capital is in the form of AI agents, which can manifest themselves as avatars. They can be in the form of voice agents, chatbots, and even be embedded within devices. So these AI agents are not only used for learning purposes and so on, that like what you described, but actually for different types of use cases like customer service. They can be used for back office operations. In healthcare, they can be used for medical billing, medical transcription, and so on and so forth. So they can perform any number of functions. And typically, what happens is when we engage with a customer, they give us a corpus of content, documents, video, audio, text, and so on, that we train the AI agents, what we call the brain or the AI function. And then that becomes the sort of knowledge base from which the AI agent draws its information from. And so, let's say in a customer service function, it could answer questions from customers. Let's say that you are open 9 to 5, but off after office hours, if they call your number, the AI agent can pick up and answer questions, or weekends, or nights, or holidays, or whatnot. So it draws from this knowledge base that a company would provide ultimately.
So now I understand more about the term that you were using, agentic AI.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
That's so cool. They're very, very interesting. So what are some of the biggest misconceptions about AI adoption in enterprise environments?
I think there are a few. I think there are two extremes. So there's one extreme which thinks AI is magic and can do anything and everything, and that I want to dispel that myth immediately. Humans always need it. And there's a saying that a person, sometimes people are worried about their jobs and all that. So you won't be replaced by AI, but you'll probably be replaced by a person who uses AI. So it's better for people to get sort of familiar with AI.
Yeah.
So AI by itself is not evil or anything of that nature. If used properly, it can be very, very valuable, and a lot of people are starting to use that. Um, and I'll give you some concrete examples in a second.
Yeah.
But so on one extreme, you have people who think AI is magic and can do a lot of things, but it's not magic, but it is actually under the hood. AI is actually a lot of statistics. It's very probabilistic in nature. It can do certain things, but it has to be given the right information in order for it to do the task that it's set out to do. Now, on the other extreme, people are worried about AI, that it's evil and so on. So that extreme also, I want to dispel the myth that anything, if used incorrectly, can turn out to have bad outcomes. If I take my car and drive it very fast and crash into people, that could have bad outcomes. So that doesn't mean car is evil. It just means that it's not used properly.
Mhm.
So the same way AI has to be used properly, and there are guardrails. Similar to driving, when you have speed limits and road signs and so on as guardrails to kind of guide you so that you don't make mistakes. Same way, AI needs to have certain guardrails put in place such that it can be used in the most optimal manner. So those are two sort of extremes in which people, have misconceptions about AI.
I love the examples that you use because you're right. The car isn't evil. It's just we're the ones driving that train, right? We're the ones that
Right,
are handling that. And same thing with AI. And we also, you need to input the information into AI. And the
right.
more information that you can give it, the better that it can serve you in helping you be more efficient and more effective. And again, it's not good. I love that you said too, because my kids, it's interesting what the schools are doing because my kids are in school, they're teenagers, and they're going to a lot more paperwork
Hmm.
because teachers, I think, have a fear of AI. Like the children are going to cheat. And I'm like, well, we used to memorize back in our day. So if we're making it more fun for the kids and they have access to more information, so if we're making it fun for the kids to learn and they're consuming more, let's not worry so much about them cheating and inspire them to want to learn and go deeper because these kids are thirsty to learn. But we got to make it fun for them. And again, they need this. If we're not teaching them now, when they get into the job market, like you said, they're not going to be getting those jobs. They're going to be
Yeah.
replaced by people who are they're the people that are getting those jobs. I feel like we're setting our kids up to fail in a little way with that kind of direction because if we're not setting them up to win with AI and teaching that and allowing them to learn it now, when they go for jobs, it's going to be delayed timeline in them getting jobs because those people that know it are going to get them, just like you shared.
Yeah, no, this is a very good point because what happens is, AI is a tool, just like a calculator
Mhm.
before that or a computer before that. In every generation, we have found a tool, and that tool saves you time. And then using that excess time that you have, you can solve bigger problems. So if you are doing, let's say, arithmetic and you're doing long division by hand, it's going to take you 5-10 minutes to solve a problem which you can solve in like 5 seconds. Now, given all the other time that you have now, you can go on to solving bigger problems instead of doing mundane tasks.
Mhm.
That's the same way you have to think of AI. If you can solve a problem quickly, now what will your mind can now think beyond simple things and say, okay, what can I use this information for, and where can I reach out to do bigger things?
Yeah.
And that's how we progress as humanity. So if we keep saying that we have to go backtrack and do things the old fashioned way, then you won't have the automobile, you won't have the telephone, you won't have anything. It's, you want to get really old school, that thought process has to change. You have to embrace technology, and that will get you to greater heights. That's how you have to think about it.
Absolutely. I remember what, like, and many people that are listening probably can remember when the calculator was like, oh, the kids need to learn math by hand and they're cheating. And again, just like you said, so I'm glad that you brought it up. We have to evolve as technology is evolving, and AI is now where we were back in the day with the calculator. That's so good. So, how do your AI powered tools personalize learning and development at scale? And what kind of impact are you seeing on performance and retention?
So it's a good question. So what happens is in AI, there's a process called it's underlying process of machine learning. So first of all, when we train these AI models, we use what is known as an out-of-the-box large language model, and
Mm,
that might be OpenAI, Llama, Mistral. These are all open source models, and these have a sort of a baseline of knowledge. Now, on top of that knowledge, you embed your own knowledge. So let's say that I'm giving you an example of an insurance company. So if
mm,
you're an insurance company, then there'll be insurance knowledge, which is just general insurance knowledge that you can make the AI model learn. The next level might be that you are selling auto insurance. Okay, now you put in concepts which are auto insurance specific. Then next, let's say that you happen to be Allstate and you happen to sell auto insurance. So there might be certain things which are Allstate specific, their own actuarial models and whatnot, the risk models and things like that. And then finally, there might be data that is customer data. That might be Allstate's own customers that they would uh, put that information into a model. So over time, what happens is the model is very customized to your business. The same sort of thing happens in any line of business, whether you're in retail, whether you're, we have some couple of customers in Florida where you are, Heidi. So one is actually dealing with addiction, drug, alcohol, gambling addiction. So their AI model is sold to rehab facilities, it's sold to online gambling companies and so on, where they're problem gamblers or they're addicts and whatnot. And it's a support system. And so these 12-step programs that one would have heard of for addiction counseling, we have embedded all that knowledge so that the AI agent is able to counsel the person using such an app through the steps and be able to sort of graduate them from step to step and be a sort of a support system for these people.
mm.
So typically this sort of pyramid approach is what we are following, and it's been very very good, very accurate, and this learning is not a one time thing. There's continuous learning. So that's the thing about AI. Unlike older systems, which sort of like until the next upgrade of the software or whatever it is, it's not going to be able to have new capabilities. AI continuously sort of morphs and is able to keep up with what's going on currently. So that's the beauty of machine learning itself. So
Thank you for sharing all that. I just think it's really interesting what you're doing, and so I'm really appreciative of your time today. Uh, and we're going to share with you. I know that people are listening; they're going to want to connect with you because we're going to share with them how to do that. But before we do that, I want to talk about growth a little bit because I'm fascinated that you have started and sold businesses. So you are like a pro at growing businesses, which is fantastic. And I know that our audiences can learn a lot from you. So what are some challenges that you faced as you've been growing businesses, or maybe specifically Synergetics, and how have you overcome these challenges?
so this is actually a good question because the way the techniques we have used, I've used in past businesses, past lives, that has not remained static. It's a very dynamic environment. So I'll give you an example. Like in the old, like when I started my first business, maybe 20, 30 years ago, that time a lot of things were offline. You'd go to trade shows. You'd even have the concept of business cards. Now I don't even carry a business card. It's just like I just flash my LinkedIn and say, ping me there. LinkedIn is my business card. It's that concept has sort of gone away, at least for me. But then, so you'd go trade shows. There's a lot more face to face. But today, it's very different. I do business with people all around the world. I've never met them in person. I probably sometimes meet them on Zoom or some other mechanism, some electronic means of communicating, and that's how we market. So this offline marketing has somewhat shrunk in terms of a marketing budget, and it goes towards more towards online. And even online has sort of changed. So initially it was Facebook and a few other sources, but today, if you look at it, I always ask my marketing people, where are our sort of constituency, our demographics of users, where do they hang out? So they
Mhm.
hang out in Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. They hang out in LinkedIn. They hang out in Instagram, TikTok, Facebook Shorts, YouTube Shorts, and so on. So they hang out in these places, and different audiences consume different types of content. So when we market, and just as an example, we market both top down and bottom up. So what do I mean by that? So we are a technology product. So when
Mhm.
we want to market to technology people, to give them an understanding of the product, it's bottom up. But when we want to sell to companies, we have to go to the C-level people, that's top down. So the top down people, we tend to attract them from places like LinkedIn and so on, because that's where the executives and so on sort of hang out. But then when we go bottom up, we have to go to Discord, Telegram, and other means like Substack, Reddit groups, and so on, because the technology people read the content there or they hang out there. So we
Mm.
got to figure out who's our audience and where do they hang out, and then try to engage them in those places. That's how we are marketing and reaching our audiences. And it's a challenging world, because this is not a static, it's a moving target, and you have to continuously measure and shift your spend to figure out where you're getting the best bang for the buck.
Yeah, and I can imagine with how fast technology evolves, especially with AI these days, not only keeping up with that and trying to stay ahead of it, since you're a leader in the space of technology and AI, but also, making sure that you're being able to get that information to the people that you need to be getting it. And like you said, you're kind of doing top down and from bottom up and all that, and getting in front of different people in different ways. Um, you're and not to mention you're agnostic. So you shared like you can help a lot of different industries and businesses with your products. So can you talk about that? How did you just start being helping everybody like or did you when you're niching because niching is important, right? We hear that niching is
Right.
important. So but there's different ways of niching. We can niche down with our target market, we can niche down with our service or that we provide. So can you
Correct.
talk into that? Because I know that there's other business owners out there listening going, I can help a lot of different businesses as well, but I'm really struggling with figuring out how to get in front of them and really hone in my messaging to see that they need me.
So it's a very salient point. Yeah. So the issue is this, right? It depends on what product you're selling. If you're
Mhm.
selling a product for a particular industry, then you can drill down deep in that industry and you go very deep. But if you're selling a platform, like we are a platform, so we go breadth wise. We don't go deep, but we go wide.
Mm.
Now, there are people we need both depth and breadth. So what we do is we partner. So the best way to attack a market is not only trying to do it yourself, but also partner. So we have some systems integrated partners that we work with who already have got niche markets in certain pockets of industries. We work with them to go and attack those vertical markets. So sometimes, for example, in healthcare, we are working with a company in LA which serves about 800 plus clinics in physical therapy. So now what happens is they already have the domain knowledge in healthcare and physical therapy. So by embedding our technology into their technology stack, what happens is, let's say a physical therapy clinic is able to save data entry time from about 3 4 hours a day down to 10 minutes,
Mm.
because AI is doing the data entry for them as opposed to a human sitting there and typing up all these things. So it's able to save a lot of time because it fits the need in that particular vertical. When we work with banks, we have other partners who are in the banking space, a couple of co-banking platforms. So those guys know banking. We again they embed our technology, so they're able to now serve customers much more efficiently. They can sign up more customers. They can reduce the risk of let's say dealing with bad actors. They're able to assess their risk in loan products and so on. So what we have done is we are horizontal, but our partners are vertically aligned. So that
Mm.
way we can cover the sort of gamut, so to speak.
So on top of partnerships, that is a very that's one of the main ways that you are reaching out and finding new clients and customers, and obviously new partnerships as well. So beyond that, are there some marketing visibility strategies that you use? I know you're on
Yeah.
this podcast. I know behind the scenes we talked. You get on
Yes.
many podcasts, but are there certain ways that you feel are really another driver beyond partnerships that are working for you?
Absolutely.
And then maybe some things that you've done that maybe have, or you're like, no, that doesn't work for us. It might work for
Yeah.
other businesses, but doesn't work for us.
Yeah, I think couple of things I'm going to share. One is webinars. So we are conducting free webinars, and people from different domains, different businesses can come and watch those webinars. And I think they are a good education mechanism because we're not trying to actively sell in those webinars. We are just trying to educate people that, hey, you know what, this is possible.
Mm,
Now it's up to the person attending to kind of try to connect some of the dots. We'll give some examples, but they also can connect the dots to say, well, if this tool, if I went back and applied it in my company, oh, it could solve these problems and save us this much money or make us more effective or whatnot. So webinars are a good way of disseminating information. So I would highly recommend that. Another one that I think that is specific, it's kind of like with the times that we are in, attention spans are very short.
yes.
So what we are finding is these sort of very short explainer videos on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels or whatnot, whatever they call it. So those are very effective. So we have a set that we are producing with a media guy and just recording some of those things so that we are able to give this bite-sized, quick, 30-second kind of things that make people interested and think, and then it creates some engagement. So those two, I think, are good sort of strategies to have for anyone. And a lot of these things, there are AI tools that can do this for you. So yesterday I went to a business meeting, old-fashioned business meeting in person with business leaders in here in Orange County, California, and about let's say about 50 people showed up, and we had a discussion on how AI tools can be used to create some of this content that I'm talking about. So you don't need to have a studio and shoot it and whatnot. If you have some content that you created, it could be a video that you shoot of yourself, but these things could chop up those videos into small 30-second slices and put the like that closed captioning at the bottom with the they even highlight the letters as you speak and
Yeah.
all that. It'll do all of that for you. So there are a lot of tools nowadays that can serve the audience who's listening. That so it's not a big cost factor as well. It can do it for you.
So what's next for Synergetics? What goals do you have for 2025, the next 12 months?
Yeah, sure. So we, like many other companies in the space, we're trying to scale. We're trying to, get that hockey stick in our business to
Mm.
get the revenues up. Um, we are also raising the next round of funding, which is always important for companies, sustenance in the early stages and trying to grow the business, grow it up, and at that point it will give us choices which whether to grow it even bigger, go for something more ambitious like an IPO or become attractive enough for another company to purchase us, things like that. So those are the types of goals we have in the back of our minds, but we have to execute on a day-to-day basis, and it's sales revenue growth. That's what we are focused on squarely.
Amazing. So question for you, Raghu. If I could hand you a magic wand and there's one thing that could keep you from achieving your goals, and you could wave the magic wand and poof, take it away right now. What is that issue that or challenge that you're having, and what that you want to get rid of and why?
I think every company or any startup will say the same thing. Everyone wants customer engagement.
Mm.
The more engagement you have, the better it is. Almost investors don't even look at revenues, don't even look at profits, don't look at anything. They want customer engagement because engagement will ultimately translate into all those other things. So you want customer engagement. That's the number one thing. And that's what we are after, similar to everyone else.
So one final question before we get to how people can connect with you, Raghu. What advice do you have for business leaders who want to leverage AI but are concerned about cost, complexity, or culture fit?
Yeah, I would say that at least start now and start small. And there are a lot of tools that one can use immediately to do some simple automation type things. And then once you get a little bit familiar, then you can sort of crawl, walk, run approach. So you crawl, you start to get familiar with, and the good thing about the times that we live in, a lot of this content is free. You can go to YouTube and learn about some things, and go download it, try it for free. If you like it, subscribe. That type of a environment. So you can get started relatively inexpensively. But then that's to get your basics down. After that, if you want to start to do more heavy lifting, at that point you need a more heftier platform like the ones that we use. Instead of these AI tools that I'm talking about initially at the crawl phase, you still have to engage with it a lot. You are doing a lot of the thinking, it's doing some of the automation for you. But then later on, for small businesses who like a 1 or 2 man shop, which wants to look like a 20-person shop, then you can use this AI agents to play different roles in your company. So one agent could be posting on LinkedIn, Twitter, content that you set it up for a week, and it could be doing it on its own, like almost like a worker on the side. Another one could be doing your QuickBook entries on the other side, and you just delegate your work to it, and that relieves you to do whatever the core business might be. So if you're let's say you're a shop doing plumbing or HVAC or whatnot, you can focus on your core business while all these other functions are being handled by AI agents. That will be the next level of automation beyond the first basics, and so on. So I think it's a kind of a continuum, and once you get started, you'll begin to see the benefits, and then you would invest more.
So good. So good. Well, for those of you who are listening who are like, I want to learn more, especially about what is you call it, agentic
Yeah.
AI, and
Mhm.
what Synergetics can do for you, how can they reach out to you and connect with you, Raghu?
Okay, so Raghu at synergetics.ai, Raghu at synergetics.ai. That's one way. Second is ping me on LinkedIn, Raghu Bala, and I'll be sure to respond to your inquiry.
Yes. So connect with Raghu. You can go to LinkedIn as he shared with you, Raghu Bala. And his last name is spelled Bala, correct? Yes.
Yes.
And go to synergetics.ai to learn more about the company and email him and his team. They're amazing. And make sure that you connect. He's awesome. You've heard him here. He's a great person, and he'll definitely ping him, as he said. That's his business card. So ping him to learn more, and he'll be happy to support you any way he can. So if you're watching us, Raghu and I, right now on YouTube, thank you. First of all, thank you for watching us on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. This allows us to share Raghu, all of our incredible guests, out to more people. It'll also notify you when we have more amazing guests like Raghu on our podcast so that you can learn and grow from these incredible experts that we are bringing on here. And also, and show your gratitude for Raghu. Put a comment below and make sure you're connecting with him. And also, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, or any of those incredible other platforms, and you can leave a review, please do. That also helps us share this, Raghu, his expertise, his business with more people. The goal of this podcast is to help business leaders, people who have a dream, have a goal, have a solution to provide something to other people or businesses, succeed. And they do that by learning from other people's challenges and the things that they've overcome and the things that are working for them. So we appreciate that support, and we're better together, and we need to help each other get the word out. Raghu, do you have anything that you want to share, or anything that you want to, like, wise words you want to leave us with that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't touch on before we wrap up?
Well, I think we are at a age where they're calling it the fourth industrial revolution, and it's a big seismic shift in business. Just like the first internet boom 30 years ago, 95 to 2000, if you remember, those listeners were gone through that period. Now it's another sort of shift, and I think it's going to change a lot of things. And we have two choices: be left behind or embrace the change. And I would encourage everyone to embrace the change, because just like the internet or the World Wide Web changed things, AI is changing things drastically, and also look at it as a big opportunity. Nobody gives you this opportunity. This is on a platter here. So if you embrace it, I think you could take off. You could be one of the next big brands if you really embrace the change. So here's a golden opportunity, if I may say so.
Absolutely. It's so good. That was such a good point, Raghu. I remember 30 years. Can you believe it's been 30 years? I was in
Yes.
my early 20s 30 years ago when the internet boom happened. And I remember I was in college, and internet and email really was just kind of
Right.
like when I was graduating, just coming out. And a lot of people missed that opportunity, right? To
Right.
jump in then, because they're like, oh, it'll never last. And
Right.
Raghu is completely right. You don't want to miss this. So make sure that you're participating. It's not going away either, right, Raghu? It's not going
No,
away.
no,
It's
it's not
only
anywhere.
it's here to stay, and it's only evolving and growing. So make sure that you're connecting with Raghu. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much. Uh,
Thank
for,
you.
for those of you listening, I promise you a gift. So make sure you go grab it. We talked about visibility, we talked about marketing, we talked about growth. If you feel like you're being challenged in those areas and you're doing all the things, and Raghu shared what he's doing that's working, so make sure that you're doing what he's shared with you today. But if you feel like you're challenged in some of these areas, and you're wanting to make sure that then your next efforts are going to expand your visibility and your growth, then you can go download our Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint, grab it. It's free. It's yours. And hopefully it'll help you, and you can follow those steps to grow your visibility. Don't forget, go to synergetics.ai, go connect with Raghu, and on LinkedIn, Raghu Bala, or Raghu at synergetics.ai, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today on the Business Growth Spotlight and listening to us. Raghu, thank you for your time. It's been such a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Heidi. Thank
And thank you again for listening to Raghu and I, and we will see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.